DrYasapa from Zion School. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, today I'm just gonna talk a little bit about Christ being the chief cornerstone, the esoteric gospel. Okay, but just briefly, kind of uncomfortable. I'm back. I gotta find another coffee shop to go to, y'all, because this place, it looks nice, right? But at certain times of the day, it's full of people smoking cigarettes. They don't have fans to blow it away. They don't have a non-smoking section. It's just, it's quite unbearable to sit here and have to breathe in this smoke. So actually, I think I'm gonna leave. So this is gonna be very, very brief, all right, y'all, because I'm not trying to get asthma or worse, right? It's just amazing to me how people in 2022, knowing what everybody knows all around the world, that secondhand smoke is more dangerous than the smoke that's coming through the cigarette itself, right? Because of the filter and because of the chronic diseases that you can get from smoking cigarettes, right? The death that comes with it, the pain and suffering that comes with it. Why people still smoke? I just don't understand it. You know, I don't understand it. And like I told y'all before, in Vietnam, the cigarette boxes, not all, but I've seen, they have the whole box shows a man. He looks like he has cancer or some type of obstructive pulmonary disease. I don't know, but you know, he just looks bad. Actually, he looks more like a TB patient to me. But I don't understand, you know, you look at that and then you pick that up and then you smoke it. That just blows me away. And not only that, but they show this guy, he's emaciated, skin and bones, and he's sucking on a cigarette on the package. So how does a person in their right mind do something like that to themselves, right? I just don't understand it. I probably will never understand it, but that's what they do. But anyway, this discussion ain't about that. This is about Christ being the chief cornerstone. So now listen, y'all, there's a very famous scientist. Somebody got my seat. There's a very famous scientist named Dr. Oyibo. He's probably the most eminent scientist of modern times. I think I'm making a mistake if I sit over here, but it's better than where I'm at for right now. Probably the most eminent scientist of modern times, Dr. Gabriel Oyibo. Gaga, God Almighty Grand Unified Theorem. Okay? So, man. I don't see how people can do it because, like, I walk through this smoke and it's hard for me to breathe. I'm not gonna even go back that way. Ah, shit, same thing. Man. Sorry, y'all, but I'm suffering, right? Going through this. Some of y'all might wonder, why does Dr. Yasapa use foul language? Well, sometimes I'm using it because when I was in Christianity, I had to watch everything I said, right? Because it was part of that Christian organization's doctrine. You had to be squeaky clean. You couldn't use certain type of language or they'd kick you out, right? It was supposed to be sinful. But of course I learned that that's not the truth, right? So every now and then I will use foul words just to remind myself that I'm no longer in Christianity. I don't need to watch what I say. And it's so toxic, so unhealthy to have to hold back something that you want to say, right? So anyway, if y'all wondering why, that's why I do it. You know, it's not a big deal. There's nothing wrong with it. Anyway, so Dr. Darrell-El, I heard him in a video that I was watching, actually the other day. I think he did these videos in the 90s because I saw this video a million times, right? But anyway, he was making the point that Pythagoras, y'all know Pythagoras' theorem, right? Pythagoras, he said, was an Egyptian citizen. Now, I remember being taught that Pythagoras was a Greek. Okay, so Dr. Oyibo says that he was actually born in Egypt. Okay, so that would, according to Dr. Oyibo, he was an Egyptian citizen. All right, so maybe he wasn't Greek. I don't know. But y'all remember, nationality flows through bloodline. Okay, nationality flows through bloodline. That's what I'm trying to say to you. That's my point. So Dr. Oyibo further says that the Egyptians were using Pythagoras' theorem long, way long before there ever was even a Pythagoras, okay? In other words, Pythagoras didn't make up, I mean, it wasn't his original idea, all right? He was credited with it. So according to Dr. Darrell-El, the Egyptians were using what they're calling now Pythagoras' theorem way back, even before they started building pyramids. And he said the evidence of that is that there's a pyramid. that makes perfect sense, right? He says that the pyramids are the most precise structures ever built on Earth. So their precision testifies or demonstrates to the fact that those ancient Egyptian peoples, those ancient builders, must have, one, studied, researched, what they're calling Pythagoras theory today. They studied it and they researched it before they ever built a pyramid. And then he said they perfected it. They perfected it through use, through building, as demonstrated through the pyramid. So in other words, if you did not perfect something, there's no way you can go out right out the box and build perfect pyramidal structures. It's just impossible. So it had to be perfected over time prior to the building, or the use of Pythagoras' theorem had to have been perfected. In other words, they were able to not only work it out mathematically, but they were actually able to apply it. And through that application, they mastered it. All right? They mastered it. And then you see at the culmination of it, pyramids, the most precisely built structures on planet Earth. That was his point. So, scholars were talking about pyramids. Hence what? Christ the chief cornerstone. Christ the chief cornerstone. So the Jewish rabbis, many of them who know, will tell you that a pyramid is symbolic of a Jewish Messiah, all right? Now we're talking Judaism. So make the distinction between Judaism and bloodline House of Yasharallah. So what are we saying? Judaism is a religion, right? And the prophets are the focus of, the prophets are the focus of, no, I don't want, thank you. The prophets are the focus of of Judaism. Okay, so the prophets and their prophecies are very often different than what Moses said. All right, in other words, what they call in religion the Mosaic covenant. The Mosaic covenant is different, or the prophets are saying something that Moses never said in many cases. All right, in many cases. So Judaism, now this is my opinion and others too, Judaism focuses on the prophets, but Christianity focuses even more so on the prophets. Now, isn't that strange? Isn't that strange that they would focus on the prophets rather than what? Rather than Moses, because the prophets themselves are supposed to be doing what? Saying everything in agreement with what Moses said, but that's not the case. All right? That's the point I'm trying to make. So we're dealing with pyramids and the chief cornerstone. Jewish people will tell you that the chief cornerstone is a Jewish Messiah. All right, now there can be many Messiahs, right? So you'll see the image of a pyramid, with light rays, a pyramid with light rays or sun rays. All right, this is the Jewish Messiah, a pyramid with light rays. With rays of light emitting from the top of it. That is the Jewish Messiah, or a Jewish Messiah, because there can be multiple. Right? So that's the imagery. That's the symbology. Okay? Now the Christians will tell you, the Christians will tell you one step further, right? The Christians got to outdo you. So the Christ, right? Christ is supposed to be a Messiah, right? Okay. So the Christ now this is the Christian Christ. Okay. Not only is he a Jewish Messiah, but he is primarily known and promoted as what? Christ. JC the Christ figure. Right? This Christ is referred to in Christianity as a chief cornerstone. As the chief cornerstone. So y'all do me a favor, put two and two together. Put two and two together. The Jewish people's symbology of their Messiah is a pyramid with sun rays or light rays emitting from it. Christianity says that they have a Christ, a Christ who is the big time Messiah, right? He's the big time Messiah. Okay, so instead of there being many Messiahs, as there are in Judaism, in Christianity, well, there's this Messiah, but he's the big one. He's the Christ. All right. Now, what else is he? He is the chief cornerstone. So put two and two together, and what do you get? Put two and two together, and what do you get? Well, you can check your Strong's lexicon. Look up chief cornerstone. Look up chief cornerstone. I did this years ago. Look up chief cornerstone. What you're going to find is that it's the what? It's the top of a pyramid. It's the top of a pyramid. In contradistinction from a cornerstone. which is the first stone that you'll lay when you build a structure, right? The cornerstone, you have to have it perfect. It has to be set perfect. Okay, it has to be set perfect because everything on that building is going to be built off of that. So the smallest little error is going to magnify itself. It's going to be magnified as you increase the size of the structure. Y'all see what I'm saying? So the cornerstone is that first stone that you lay. And then the chief cornerstone, well, of course, that's the tip. Right? That's the tip of the pyramid. So in either case, you're dealing with the pyramid. And you're dealing with the ancient Egyptians. Y'all see where I'm going, right? You see where I'm going now. In either case, you're dealing with Pythagoras' theorem, the ancient Egyptians, Judaism, and Christianity, religions. So Christ, again, is connected intimately to Egypt. The Christ is connected intimately again with Egypt. Everybody see that? That's the point. That's the point. And they're also what? Sun rays, or what? Sun astrotheology. All right? Everybody see that? So somehow or another, Christianity keeps finding its way back to Egypt. So y'all make sense of that. You decide what you're going to believe and accept. If you're going to worship the Christ figure or not. What's the evidence, right? Do you accept the evidence as being sufficient, or is it insufficient? Okay. Now, there are those who say that the Ptolemy pharaohs who introduced Apis, Osirapis, and Apis, the worship of Osiris, the father of the Egyptian Trinity, right? The worship of Osiris plus the bull Apis. Y'all remember who the bull is in astrology, right? Taurus the bull, which was the zodiac sign of that time, right? It was Taurus the bull. So you have the two deities coming together, not by free will and free choice or nature, but at the edge of a sword, where the story goes, the Greeks, right now the particular person's name isn't in my mind, but it'll come to me. Well, he wanted to be worshipped. He wanted the same respect and admiration that was given to the pharaohs to be given to him, but the Egyptian people wouldn't do it. Right? They wouldn't give it to him. So he set about killing the priest. Okay? He set about killing the priest. Now, when we talk about priest, we're not talking, as a matter of fact, let me correct the language. He began to kill the intellectuals, the professors, the scholars. So this Greek man and his armies began to kill, assassinate, torture, what have you, the Egyptian scholars. All right? All right? So let's forget about that word priest. They're scholars, they're engineers, they're medical doctors, architects, astrologers, All right, he began to, well, let me not use astrology. So when I say astrologers, I'm not talking about hocus pocus, and I'm talking about astronomy, science, not religion, not spookism. The scientists, those who study the cosmos, the lawyers, the engineers, linguists, they started to kill them off. Right? Kill them all. Until they submitted and agreed to give the Greek pharaoh, or to make the Greek pharaoh, to give him deity status. All right? To give him deity status. This is what they did. And so they came up with Osiris. Osiris plus Apis. All right? Osiris. And then, of course, Osiris became Serapis, which many say is the first Christ, approximately 322 years before the alleged birth of J.C. the Christ figure in your New Testament, which I have shown is a complete fraud. Is a complete fraud. Watch the video that I did with Sarnetta called All Abrahamic Religions Are a Hoax or a Fraud or something like that. Watch that video and you'll see the evidence why. Okay, it's clear as day. But you make your own decision. Don't do anything because I'm saying it. You listen to that, study it, study everything. Okay, study everything, and then ask critical questions about what you see me presenting. Do your own analysis, and don't rush. It's not a race. Don't rush. Let it marinate. Sit on it. And then you make a decision in your own due time. Okay? Use your own mind. All right? So now, it goes right back to Serapis. Okay? Osiris, Apis, Osiris plus Apis, Osiris, and then that was condensed or collapsed into Serapis. All right? Soltaire, Serapis Soltaire, I believe that's the word. Serapis Soltaire, the anointed savior. Okay? And his followers were promised to be with him, if I remember the story correctly, in heaven. When they die. This is the same thing that's said about J.C. the Christ figure in the New Testament. Right? Isn't that the same thing, Christ the Savior? In fact, the priest of Osiris, Serapis, were called bishops. Did y'all know that? The priests of Serapis were called bishops. Now, isn't that strange that in Christianity, Catholicism, etc., they're using the same title, bishop? Isn't that strange? Isn't it also strange that Osiris used the title, the appellation Christ, and then you have J.C. in the New Testament who also uses the same title, Christ? Isn't it also strange that they're called, or the promise is that their followers would be with him when they die? Is that too much for coincidence? You decide. But somehow or another, the Christ figure in the New Testament and the Gospels always make their way back to ancient Egypt. Okay, but by the way, let me not say that. The Ptolemy pharaohs are not ancient. Okay? Actually, we don't even know if they really existed. Okay? That whole thing could be made up. Alexander the Great and his 3 generals, right? They conquered it. That could be made up. Nobody knows that that's true, other than the written documents, and we know that these people, they just make up stories and they call it history, right? And they promote it as being real. So maybe that's not even true. Who knows? I'm telling the story. I'm just relaying the story. But you have to think and think about all possibilities, because we know we're dealing with liars. Liars whose primary let me rephrase that. Liars who have demonstrated that their primary approach is lying through written stories. Lying through written stories. All right? Tragedies. Especially whenever you come across a tragedy, be suspect. So Cleopatra, Mark Antony, these are tragedies. Be suspect of that. Be suspect. Because it's a tragedy, and the whole purpose of a tragedy is to get you emotionally involved, right? Once you get emotionally involved, they can capture your imagination, get into your pockets, get into your wife, get into your finances, even your little ones, all right? So y'all be very, very careful. Be very, very careful. So don't trust, be suspicious, and read suspiciously as a habit, as a routine. Read everything suspiciously. That's one thing you'll learn. You will have that ingrained in you at Zion Law School. That will be ingrained in you at Zion Law School. You will read suspiciously. You will not accept things that you read as true. Because what we demonstrate by going over the material meticulously, using linguistic concepts, critical questions, and analysis, once you begin to see what's been done to you with your own eyes, you will never, ever, ever, ever be able to read a document the way you're reading them now. Because you will have seen so much manipulation, so much lies, that you feel like you're being stupid. If you just accept that and you develop the habit of reading everything the way you're taught in Zion Law School. All right, so y'all come to our Saturday class. It's always at 10 a.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Saturday. This is 506 The Curses course. The link is in the description area of this video. All right, you can get the fundamental skills. You get the fundamental skills of Ancient Ibaryath by subscribing to 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, all right? 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. That link is also in the description area of this video, all right? It's only $10, no contract. You don't have anything to lose, you have everything to gain. So you go do that for yourself, start building your linguistic skills, come to the live online class every Saturday. It's not going to cost you a penny the first few times you come, okay, unless you want to enroll. So you don't have any reason not to, right? You don't have any reason not to. Now, I'll tell y'all, there are a lot of people who come, they like everything that they're being exposed to. They like the co-scholars and everything like that. What they don't like is that I don't teach Christianity. And I don't teach, let me rephrase that. I don't teach the New Testament and I don't teach JC. Okay? And you will you'll be confronted with information, not opinion. You'll be confronted with evidence and facts that are contrary to your Christian doctrine and belief system. And a lot of people can't handle that, right? And they become very uncomfortable. And eventually they stop coming. So I just want to put that out there to you. In other words, many of these people undergo cognitive dissonance, which is normal, right? It's a normal thing. So if you come to class and you start feeling some kind of way, just remember what I told you just now. All right? So if you're a sensitive person, you should not come to this class. We don't discuss doctrine, religious doctrine and religion. We don't do that. It's not a Bible study like y'all have in mind. It's not like that at all. You will learn linguistic concepts and much, much more in the context of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and other books and chapters. All right. Anyway, let's go back to the discussion. So JC, the Christ figure, and Serapis are both referred to as Christ. They both are saviors. Both of their followers were called Christians. Okay? Both of the followers are called Christians. JC's followers in the New Testament were first called Christians, I think, at Antioch, which was a long time after the Christ figure, JC, I guess had left the earth plane, if you believe the story. All right. So some Christians will tell you, well, JC never called himself a Christian. But their enemies called them Christians as a way to insult them, right? As a way to put them down and insult them. Whatever the case, y'all still call yourselves Christians today, right? So you accept it, and that's what you're called. You hear people talk about the Christian church. You even hear Hebrew Israelites. And I know Hebrew Israelites who get angry if you talk in a bad way about the Christian church. Okay? That's true. I actually know Hebrew Israelites who get angry if you talk in a way that's not flattering about the Christian church or Christianity. People will say, oh, well, you got a lot of good out of Christianity. You know, why are you talking so bad about it? Right? So you'll hear people talk like that. So I don't understand that for the life of me. But maybe there's a Stockholm type of effect going on there, right? Okay, it wasn't all bad, and you know, this was good and that was good. I don't tend to look at things like that, you know. But whatever you do, that's your business. My point is that the Christ figure being the chief cornerstone takes you back to ancient Egypt. It takes you back to ancient Egypt. All right? Now think about this. The cornerstone of a building or of a structure is the first stone. It has no shape. I'm talking about the building has no shape yet. So let's say the cornerstone of a pyramid. It doesn't look like a pyramid, right? it's just one stone. But let's say you build that whole pyramid from top to bottom. The chief cornerstone is the tip of the pyramid. So that chief cornerstone is itself a pyramid. It is itself a pyramid. You understand? So you look at religious organizations like the JW organization, all right, the witnesses. You look at them. They try very, very hard to hide the fact that Charles Taze Russell was a pyramidologist, right? These people who believe that the dimensions of the pyramid had some type of spiritual knowledge embedded in the pyramids, the calculations and the structures. The JW, the witnesses religion, they don't want people to know that about their history, but it's true. Their founder was a pyramidologist, and he was basing a lot of his stuff off of pyramidology. So everything is always going back to Egypt. Y'all following? Y'all following? So wake up, wake up, wake up. Educate yourselves. As a matter of fact, for those of you who are curious, and you have, for those of you who have a curious mind, go research Charles Taze Russell, founder of the JW organization, the Witnesses organization. Google search his name and pyramidology and see what you come up with. All right, back in the day when I was a part of that organization, they hid that. I didn't find this out until, mid-2000s, I think. Right? And they had this video, a black and white video that they used to boast about. I think it was called the creation video or something like that. But on this video, and I'll never forget this, it had a pyramid on it. It looked like an Egyptian pyramid. I don't remember if it had the eye and the rays. It's been so long. But I always wonder, why in the world do they have that in the video? But see, now I know. Charles Taze Russell was a pyramidologist. Okay, and they based a lot of their doctrine off of their studies of pyramidal structures and the geometry associated with the pyramids. Y'all follow me? Christ is the chief cornerstone, hence they are studying the pyramids, because the tip of the pyramid is the chief cornerstone, is a pyramid. See? So they study the pyramids. This is why the JW organization, I saw in the video that they have a property, I think it's a Bethel property in Europe. Y'all can search this on YouTube. So if you look at the aerial view of it, it's a pyramid structure. The whole property is laid out like a pyramid or some type of Egyptian type of pyramidal structure. But you can only see it from the aerial view. From the aerial view. So why would they spend so much time with this pyramidology? Right? Who is this Christ figure? Who is JC the Christ figure? Who is Osiris? Is the Christ figure, well, who is the Father? All right? Who is the Father of the New Testament? Let me drop a hint on you. The bloodline house of Yasharallah never saw themselves as having a biological relationship with the Most High. Never. Never. But it was those people who had what? Brothers and sisters and cousins, etc., who were Nephilim. Who were Nephilim? Raphaim. These were blood relationships, right? The so-called angels who came down and had sexual relations with women, and then they had children, and they were called Nephilim, right? And then Raphaim. See, there is your bloodline relationship. Okay, all right. Christ, the Father. Huh? We never called the Most High. Bloodline, Yasharallah never called the Most High Father. Okay, that came about when? With the prophets. And I saw in one Bible, the book of, maybe it was Esther, I don't remember, where there was a reference to something about a father. I don't remember, but there is one. But that is an insertion, and the authenticity of that book is very questionable. All right? But doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because Moses never referred to the Most High as Father, okay? As a father, a biological father figure, or any type of bloodline relation. All right, so that's a major difference between bloodline House of Yasharallah and then the New Testament Christ and the Father. All right. So who is this Christ figure? Is the Christ figure and the Father, were they actually living people who walked the earth? Huh? Were they actually living people who walked the earth? If they were living people, were they man? Genesis chapter 2 men? Or were they hybrids? Nephilim and Raphaim, etc. Or were they something else? All right? So there's a whole story about the Tetragrammaton having been a man who walked on earth. Huh? There's a whole story about the Dogon, the fish deity who used to come out of the water and talk to the Babylonians during the daytime and teach them science, mathematics, etc. about civilization. Huh? And you'll see that Dogon symbology when you see the Pope wearing his mitre, that hat that the Pope wears, and you'll also see the same symbology with the Hebrew Israelite organization GOCC. They wear a mitre. All right. The Catholics, the popes call it a mitre. The hat, they call it a mitre. GOCC calls it a mitre, but it's the same fish mouth style hat. All right, GOCC wears it. It's short, but the shape of the opening at the top of the head is a fish mouth. How many of y'all knew that? Same as the Catholic Church, except for the Pope's hat is bigger, and they're using a different pronunciation of the same word. Right? So why is it that you have a Hebrew Israelite organization, GOCC, Gathering of Christ Church or something like that? I don't know. Y'all go search it. Y'all go search it. All right. Some people will say, "Oh, well, the Israelites were supposed to wear a head covering, and they wrap it the same way they do they say in the Bible, well, why is it wrapped in the shape of a fish mouth as opposed to just in the shape of a circle at the top or a square at the top? Why a fish mouth? And why is it a meat tree as opposed to a mitre? Why is that associated with Dogon, the fish god? So you got to ask yourself these kind of questions. You have to be courageous enough to think your own thoughts. Huh? Y'all follow me? Y'all with me? You can ask GOCC. I don't know. I never talked to them about it. It's just an observation of mine. Ask them to explain it to you. Right? Ask them. I observe, and I'm sharing the information with you. Okay? But that relationship is there. It is there. All right. So the chief cornerstone, Christ, always makes his way back to Egypt and back to the worship of external deities. All right. So who is this Christ figure? Who is he? Who is this Father? Who is the Father of the New Testament? Were they actually living, breathing, fleshly beings who walked the earth, man or Nephilim or Raphaim? Right? Or are they something else? See, that's for y'all to research and decide. I've given you a lot of information. You go through the Zion Law School YouTube channel, watch all the videos. You should easily be able to answer these questions on your own, right? Outside of a biblical doctrine. Huh? Anyway, chief cornerstone is the tip of a pyramid, is a pyramid, all right? Is a pyramid, is Egyptians, only the Egyptians built pyramids, all right? Only the Egyptians built pyramids. What's being called the Pythagoras theorem in modern times had been in existence long before there ever was a Pythagoras. It was researched, perfected, and demonstrated long before there ever was a pyramid. Its perfection is demonstrated by the existence of these pyramids, which are said to be, by scientists, the most precisely built structures on planet Earth. All right? All right? So you're going deep into Egyptian science. Mathematics is science. Architecture is science, right? Building. All of that is science. You're going deep into Egyptian science. Christianity is reaching way back into Egyptian science. Take it or leave it. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. If you want to support my work, if you like the way I teach, if you like the way I talk, if you believe that all of the Moors, the entire house of Yasharallah included in that, should, let me rephrase that, must learn linguistics, etymology. If you believe that in order to become competent, you must first, what? Enhance, improve, perfect your reading comprehension skills. If you know these things, then consider supporting me, I'm Dr. Yasapa in Zion Law School, right? You can do that in many ways. The Cash App is $ Dr. Yasapa. So $DrYasapa. You can also do that with paypal.me/Zion Law School, or you can order any of our literature. And I have 7 of our books in the description area of this video, okay, y'all? So you can click on those links, all right? So I have this request for you. If you order our books, buy them on zionlawschool.org. Buy them on our website. The only book to buy on Amazon is 911 Ibaryath Rescue, the international edition. All right, that's a book that every Moor should have in their library. And every child, every Moor should have their own personal library. Don't share. I mean, of course, you can share books, but the goal should be you have your own personal library. The child has their own personal library, because libraries are very personal. All right. And people, you need to condition the child's mind from birth to have their own personal library, their own books, okay? Y'all know if you share books, the books never come back most of the time, right? So that's going to condition the child to have his or her own library, all right? So all books buy from zionlawschool.org. The only book to buy on Amazon is 911 Ibaryath Rescue, the international edition. We have other books too. So if y'all want to support us by buying our books, you can do that. If you want to support us, well, no, let me rephrase that. Do this for yourself. Subscribe to the streaming 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. Do that for yourself. Okay? We've made it almost free. It's $10 per month. You can cancel anytime. But this is the type of education that you're going to get, that you're not going to want to cancel that. You're going to want to keep this program, this course for years. For years. It is an intensive, comprehensive introduction to Ancient Ibaryath. It has everything about the pictographs. It has the grammar associated with the pictographs. And then, of course, it has grammar, right? It's in 3 parts, okay? So it's not the type of class where you start and your goal is to finish it, okay? That's not the way to approach education, right? Now, if you're a beginning learner, you may feel more compelled to finish, right? To finish the course, because maybe you didn't finish school, or maybe you never finished your homework, or maybe, right? But that's not the effective way to go about learning. The way to go about learning is to learn, master, then move to the next step. Okay? Finishing the course should not be on your mind. That should be the last thing on your mind. First thing on your mind is mastery. Mastery comes through repetition and giving yourself time to ponder and practice, okay? So you're going to want to keep that for years. Next way to support us is by coming to observe the course we do, the live online course, every Saturday. That's 506, the Curses course, okay? Where we do an in-depth study of Deuteronomy chapter 28, all right? So you can support us by your presence. That's no money involved, right? Just show up. And that tells us that, well, hey, you know, there's another person who's interested in reclaiming their heritage, reclaiming the ancient Ibaryath language, understanding what these documents mean in the original language, as opposed to what's been given to you by your saviors, your translators, your saviors in English. Yeah, that's right. Your Bible translators are your saviors. Simply because you rely on them to know anything from the Most High. Right? So they're your savior. They can tell you anything. And you don't have a choice but to believe it. All right? That's why y'all arguing over the tetragrammaton and how to pronounce it and all other kind of foolishness. All right? While they look at you and laugh. Anyway, so if you want to support us, if you want to get out of ignorance, if you want to get out of ignorance and you want to reclaim your heritage, your birthright, show up Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right? Free way to support. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Islam to all the Moors, and Shalawama to the entire house of Yasharawah.